The courtroom went silent when Troy Long leaned back in his chair and said, almost laughing, "My wife never worked a single day during our marriage." A few people smirked. Erica Long felt every eye in the room slide toward her like a blade. After 16 years of raising their daughter, building Troy's career from behind closed doors, and sacrificing everything she once dreamed of becoming, she was being reduced to a lazy housewife in front of strangers. Then Troy made the mistake that would destroy him. He said, "She has nothing to prove otherwise." Erica slowly lifted her phone, and for the first time that morning, the judge stopped writing. If you've ever watched someone kind get pushed too far, stay with this story until the end. Because some betrayals don't explode immediately. Sometimes they wait quietly for the perfect courtroom. People always lowered their voices when they entered the Long residence. Not because the house felt warm, because it felt expensive. The 12,000 square foot mansion sat at the end of a quiet street in Greenwich, Connecticut, hidden behind iron gates and perfectly sculpted hedges. The floors were imported Italian marble. The kitchen looked like something out of an architecture magazine. Every Christmas, the family photo ended up on social media with comments like, "Perfect family," "Dream life," "Relationship goals." Erica Long used to stare at those comments late at night and wonder if people could actually die from loneliness while sleeping beside someone. That morning, she stood barefoot in the kitchen at 5:12 a.m., packing her daughter Lily's lunch while the coffee machine hissed softly beside her. Turkey sandwich, apple slices, no peanuts. Lily's school had allergy restrictions. The house was still dark outside the windows, the sky heavy with winter blue. Erica hadn't slept more than 3 hours. Troy had come home after midnight smelling like expensive whiskey and Vanessa Blake's perfume. Not that he knew Erica recognized it now. At exactly 5:24, Troy walked into the kitchen wearing tailored gray slacks and a white dress shirt half-buttoned. His Rolex caught the warm under-cabinet lighting as he poured himself coffee without looking at her. "Board meeting today," he muttered. Erica nodded automatically. "Your navy tie is back from dry cleaning." Good. That was marriage now. Schedules, reminders, silence. No thank you. No eye contact. No love. Troy checked his phone while Erica slid scrambled eggs onto a plate. "You didn't answer what I asked you last night," he said flatly. Her hands paused for half a second. "I was tired." "You're always tired." The words landed harder than they should have, because Erica remembered exactly why she was tired. She remembered holding Lily through a fever while Troy traveled for work. She remembered rewriting his presentation at 2 in the morning before his Chicago merger deal. She remembered nursing his father through chemotherapy while Troy attended networking dinners and shook hands for photographs. But none of that counted. Not in Troy's world. Domestic labor was invisible unless it stopped happening. He took a bite of eggs and frowned slightly. Too much salt. Something inside Erica quietly folded in on itself. Not dramatically, not loudly, just one more tiny fracture in a woman already cracked in 100 invisible places. Lily came running downstairs a few moments later in her oversized school hoodie. "Mom, where's my science project?" "By the garage door, sweetheart." "Thanks." Lily kissed Erica's cheek quickly before grabbing her backpack. Then she looked at Troy. "Dad, are you coming to my debate competition Friday?" Troy didn't look up from his phone. "I'll try." Erica saw the disappointment on Lily's face immediately, the same disappointment she had spent years covering for. "He's probably busy with work, honey," Erica said softly. Troy finally glanced up, unlike some people in this house. The comment was casual, cold, sharp enough to cut skin. Lily awkwardly looked between them before leaving for school. The front door closed. Silence swallowed the kitchen again. Erica slowly turned toward him. "What does that mean?" Troy sighed dramatically like she was exhausting him. "It means I'm carrying this entire family financially while you play manager of throw pillows and grocery lists." The words hit her harder than she expected, not because they were new, because lately he'd stopped trying to hide the contempt. Erica stared at him. 16 years. 16 years of sacrifices suddenly rewritten into laziness. You know that's not true. Troy laughed under his breath. Then what exactly do you do, Erica? The question stayed hanging in the kitchen long after he walked away. Because the terrifying part was, she no longer knew how to answer it without sounding invisible. By noon, Erica sat alone in the massive living room, reviewing Lily's school emails while sunlight poured through floor-to-ceiling windows. The house was spotless, quiet, museum-like. She suddenly hated it. Every corner of the mansion carried evidence of her life disappearing, piece by piece. The custom curtains she picked, the art she framed, the dinners she hosted, the birthdays she planned, the careers she helped build. None of it had her name on it. Her phone buzzed. Diane Long. Erica almost ignored it. Almost. Hello? Well? Diane's sharp voice greeted. I heard Troy's company dinner next week is very important. It is. You should really make more of an effort this time. Erica closed her eyes slowly. What does that mean? It means Vanessa Blake has been making quite an impression professionally. Professionally? Diane always weaponized words politely. You know how ambitious women are appreciated in corporate environments. Erica gripped the phone tighter. Diane continued casually. Some women simply inspire success better than others. The call ended shortly after, but Erica sat frozen on the couch long afterward. Because she finally understood something horrifying. Troy's mother didn't see her as family. She saw her as replaceable. That evening, Erica climbed the stairs toward Troy's home office carrying freshly folded laundry. The door was slightly open. She heard his voice before she entered. She won't fight me on it, Troy said. A pause. Then quieter. She has no income history. No leverage. She's dependent. Erica stopped breathing. Troy continued speaking to someone through his headset. Yes, I documented everything. Her pulse began pounding violently. Documented. She stepped closer, silently. On his desk sat an open spreadsheet. At the top of the document were the words, Dependent Spouse Strategy. Erica's stomach dropped. Underneath it were bullet points. No independent income. No recent employment history. Emotionally reactive under pressure. Lifestyle maintained through husband's financial support. Recommended settlement pressure strategy. For a second, the room tilted. She felt physically sick. Not because the marriage was ending, because Troy had been preparing to erase her long before she realized he stopped loving her. The man she built her entire adult life around had been quietly turning her sacrifices into legal weaknesses. Troy suddenly turned in his chair and saw her standing there. The color drained slightly from his face before hardening again almost instantly. Neither of them spoke. The silence between them no longer felt like marriage. It felt like war. Erica barely slept after finding the document in Troy's office. Dependent Spouse Strategy. The words replayed in her head all night like a courtroom verdict delivered before the trial even began. At 2:17 a.m., she sat alone in the dark kitchen, wearing one of Troy's old Yale sweatshirts, staring at the glowing city lights beyond the backyard windows. The refrigerator hummed softly behind her, while memories she had spent years suppressing began resurfacing one by one. Not the beautiful memories, the unpaid ones, the invisible ones. The ones Troy had rewritten into nothing. 16 years earlier, Troy Long had not looked like a man capable of cruelty. He looked hungry, driven, terrified of failure. They met during graduate school in Boston. Erica Carter was finishing her MBA while working nights at a boutique consulting firm downtown. Troy was charismatic, brilliant under pressure, and dangerously good at making people believe in him. Especially her. Back then, he used to look at Erica like she was the answer to every question he couldn't solve himself. And maybe she was. Their first apartment had peeling paint, unreliable heat, and neighbors who screamed at each other through thin walls. They ate instant ramen some nights because Troy's startup salary barely covered rent. But Erica remembered being happy, really happy, because they were building something together. At least, she thought they were. "You're better at strategy than half my department," Troy had once told her while pacing around their tiny kitchen with panic in his eyes. "I don't know how you organize chaos this fast." Erica laughed softly while typing on her laptop. "You're presenting too emotionally." "What does that mean?" "It means you're selling ambition instead of solutions." He stared at her, then slowly smiled. "God, you're good." That night, Erica rewrote his entire presentation in 3 hours. 3 weeks later, Troy got promoted. He brought home champagne. He kissed her in the kitchen, and he whispered, "We did it. We." The word almost made her cry now, because eventually, we became him. Over the years, Troy climbed higher inside Blackwell and Pierce Consulting, while Erica quietly disappeared behind the scenes of his success. She edited speeches, prepared negotiations, researched competitors, managed social events, handled client dinners, fixed mistakes before Troy even noticed them. Sometimes he would wake her up at 1 in the morning. "Babe," he'd whisper urgently, "I need help." And she always helped. Always. There was the Chicago merger disaster, the investor crisis in Seattle, the pharmaceutical expansion proposal everyone called visionary. Erica wrote half of it sitting on the bathroom floor while Lily had the flu. Troy got standing ovations for presentations Erica built from scratch. He got magazine interviews, executive bonuses, industry awards, and every time someone congratulated him, he smiled confidently and said, "Hard work pays off." Not once did he mention her. At first, Erica didn't care, because love made invisibility feel noble, until invisibility became permanent. By morning, Erica found herself wandering through the upstairs hallway while Lily got ready for school. Family portraits lined the walls. Martha's Vineyard vacations, ski trips in Aspen, charity galas. Every photo showed the same thing: Troy shining, Erica supporting. Even her smile looked tired in hindsight. Mom Lily stood near her bedroom doorway, brushing her hair. "You okay?" Erica forced a smile immediately. "Of course." But Lily studied her carefully. At 14, Lily was beginning to notice things Erica had spent years trying to hide. The distance, the coldness, the exhaustion. "You and Dad are fighting a lot lately." Erica swallowed. "We're just stressed." Lily hesitated, then quietly asked, "Did Dad forget your birthday on purpose?" The question pierced straight through her chest. Because he had. 2 weeks earlier, Troy attended a networking dinner instead. Vanessa Blake had posted photos from the event online. Troy smiling beside her, champagne glasses raised. Erica remembered sitting alone at the dining table that night while her birthday cake slowly melted, untouched. No, Erica lied softly to her daughter. "Your father's just busy." Lily didn't look convinced. After school drop-off, Erica drove aimlessly for nearly an hour before ending up parked near the marina by the water. The ocean looked gray beneath the winter clouds. She sat motionless inside the car, then finally opened her phone. Vanessa Blake's social media appeared instantly. Perfect blonde waves, sharp suits, corporate conferences, luxury hotel bars, comments filled with admiration. "Boss woman, power couple energy. You and Troy are unstoppable." Erica felt physically nauseous. Not because Vanessa was beautiful, because Erica recognized phrases beneath some of Vanessa's strategy posts. Sentences, ideas, language, her language. Erica opened an old folder in her email archives with trembling fingers. Then another, and another. Proposal drafts, market analyses, speech rewrites, entire frameworks. The realization spread through her slowly like poison entering blood. Vanessa wasn't just sleeping with Troy. She was benefiting from Erica's mind. Hours later, Erica entered Troy's office while he was still downtown at work. The room smelled like leather and cologne. She sat carefully at his desk. For years, she avoided touching anything in this room unless invited. Now, she opened his laptop. At first, she found nothing unusual. Financial reports, executive calendars, board presentations. Then she searched one word, Carter. Her maiden name. A single archived email appeared. Date, 8 years earlier. Subject line, expansion proposal revision. Erica opened it and stopped breathing. Attached beneath the email was a presentation she remembered creating during one of the hardest periods of their marriage. Troy had been struggling professionally. Their mortgage payments were late. Lily was a toddler. Erica spent 6 sleepless nights building a complete restructuring proposal for his division. She remembered Troy hugging her afterward. "You saved me," he whispered back then. But now Erica stared at the forwarded version Troy had sent to Blackwell and Pierce executives. Her name was removed. Completely. At the bottom, Troy had written, "I stayed up all week perfecting this strategy. I believe it could redefine the company." Erica's vision blurred instantly. Not from surprise, from grief, because she realized something devastating. Troy had not suddenly become cruel. He had simply become more honest about the kind of man he always was. Her phone buzzed violently in her hand. Unknown number. Erica almost ignored it, then answered. A woman's voice spoke carefully. "Mrs. Long." "Yes," a pause. "This is Claire from Blackwell and Pierce Executive Administration." Erica frowned slightly. "Okay." Claire lowered her voice. "I probably shouldn't be calling you." Cold dread slid down Erica's spine. "But I thought you deserved to know." "Know what?" Another silence. Then, people in the office think Troy is planning to announce his relationship with Vanessa immediately after the divorce filing. Erica shut her eyes. Claire continued quietly. "And there are rumors he's preparing documents claiming you had no involvement in any of his business development work." Erica's fingers tightened around the phone. "Why are you telling me this?" Because Claire whispered painfully, "I used to hear him thanking you on speakerphone after every major meeting. Everyone knew you helped him. At least the assistants did." Tears finally burned Erica's eyes. Not because of Troy, because strangers had seen her value more clearly than her own husband ever admitted. After the call ended, Erica sat in Troy's office staring at the old email again. Then another notification appeared on the laptop screen. A message preview from Vanessa Blake. "Can't wait until she's finally out of the picture." Erica stared at the words. Long. Cold. Still. Then for the first time in years, something inside her stopped breaking and started waking up. The penthouse overlooked downtown Chicago like it owned the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows reflected gold chandelier light across polished marble floors, while a string quartet played softly near the private bar. Waiters moved through the crowd carrying champagne trays, and every person inside the room looked expensive enough to belong on the cover of a financial magazine. Erica stood near the entrance in a dark emerald dress she almost hadn't worn. Not because it wasn't beautiful, because she no longer remembered what it felt like to dress for herself instead of Troy's image. "You look nice." The compliment came from Lily, who adjusted the sleeve of her navy blazer beside her. At 14, Lily had inherited Erica's observant eyes and Troy's height. Tonight, she looked old enough to notice the tension vibrating beneath every word her parents exchanged. Erica smiled gently. "Thank you, sweetheart." "You nervous?" "A little." "That means something bad's gonna happen," Lily muttered. Erica almost laughed. Almost. Because lately her daughter had become frighteningly accurate. Across the room, Troy Long stood surrounded by executives from Blackwell and Pierce Consulting, looking perfectly at home in a tailored black tuxedo. His smile was effortless. Controlled, powerful. The same smile that once made Erica feel safe. Now it looked rehearsed, as if every expression he wore belonged to the version of himself he sold professionally. When Troy finally noticed them entering, his eyes swept quickly over Erica before landing on Lily. "There's my girl." He kissed Lily's forehead warmly, then nodded once at Erica, like greeting a distant coworker. "You're late." Erica blinked slowly. "We arrived exactly when you told us to." Troy checked his watch anyway. "We should circulate. The Henderson deal closes next quarter, and tonight matters." Everything mattered except the people sacrificing themselves to keep his world running. Before Erica could answer, a woman's voice floated through the crowd. "Troy." Vanessa Blake approached like she already belonged beside him. Tall, elegant, sharp blonde bob tucked behind one ear. She wore a cream-colored satin dress that somehow looked both corporate and seductive at the same time. Several executives immediately greeted her with admiration as she joined the group. And then Erica saw it. The tiny shift in Troy's posture. Men changed around women they desired. Even after 16 years of marriage, Erica still recognized the difference instantly. Troy smiled differently at Vanessa. Looser, warmer, prouder. "Vanessa," he said smoothly, "you remember my wife, Erica. My wife. Not Erica. Not the woman who built half his career from behind closed doors. Just a title." Vanessa extended her hand with practiced grace. "Of course. It's so nice seeing you again." Again. Like they were acquaintances. Not two women orbiting the same betrayal. Erica shook her hand politely. Vanessa's perfume hit her immediately. The same scent lingering on Troy's shirt weeks earlier. For one terrifying second, Erica thought she might actually collapse in the middle of the ballroom. But she didn't. Years of emotional survival had trained her too well. Vanessa turned toward one of the executives nearby. "We're finalizing the strategic rollout proposal next week," she explained confidently. The emotional consumer engagement angle changed everything. Erica froze. Emotional consumer engagement. Those were her exact words. Not similar. Exact. She remembered typing them at 1:43 a.m. during one of Troy's late-night panic sessions before a board review. The executive looked impressed. "Brilliant positioning." Vanessa smiled modestly. "Troy and I make a good team." Troy didn't correct her. Something cold moved through Erica's body then. Not jealousy. Recognition. She wasn't imagining it anymore. They were stealing from her together. Later that evening, Erica stood alone near the bar while the city glittered beneath the penthouse windows. She watched Troy and Vanessa laugh together across the room, their bodies leaning too comfortably toward one another. Like people already emotionally involved long before they admitted it publicly. "You should smile more." Diane Long appeared beside Erica, holding a champagne glass. Even at 70, Diane looked immaculate. Silver blonde hair, diamond earrings, perfect posture sharp enough to intimidate strangers. Erica forced politeness automatically. "I'm fine." Diane took a slow sip of champagne. "You know Troy thrives around ambitious people." There it was. The poison always arrived wrapped in elegance. Erica stared ahead quietly. Diane continued casually. "Some women push men forward. Others simply maintain households. I maintained our entire life." Diane smiled faintly. "Yes, but maintenance and influence are not the same thing." The words landed like a slap. Before Erica could respond, Diane gestured lightly toward Vanessa across the room. "She understands Troy's world." Erica finally turned toward her. "And I don't." Diane's expression softened in that fake, sympathetic way wealthy women mastered over decades. "You used to." Used to. Erica suddenly realized Diane had already replaced her mentally. Maybe they all had. Troy's colleagues, the board, his family, perhaps even Troy himself. The divorce simply hadn't become official yet. A server passed by with champagne, but Erica suddenly felt too nauseous to drink anything. Across the ballroom, Vanessa was now presenting something on a digital display to two executives. The screen showed marketing projections and strategic branding notes. Erica narrowed her eyes slowly. Then her stomach dropped. One of the slides displayed a phrase Erica wrote years ago during Troy's Seattle pharmaceutical expansion pitch. Human trust drives financial loyalty. That sentence came from her private notebook. Not company files, not Troy's presentations. Her notebook. Her pulse spiked violently. Excusing herself abruptly, Erica walked quickly toward the private hallway leading to Troy's temporary office suite inside the penthouse. The music faded behind her. Her heels clicked sharply against marble floors as dread built heavier inside her chest. Please, let me be wrong. Please. She entered the office. Dark leather furniture, laptop open, half-finished whiskey on the desk, Troy's jacket hanging over a chair. Erica moved toward the computer with trembling hands. The screen required no password. Troy had become careless lately. Arrogant people usually did. She opened recent files first. Presentation drafts, corporate projections, financial reviews. Then a folder caught her eye. VB Strategy Assets. Vanessa Blake. Erica opened it and stopped breathing. Dozens of documents filled the screen. Documents Erica recognized instantly. Not because they resembled her work, because they were her work. Private notes, draft concepts, incomplete strategy frameworks she had written for Troy over years of marriage. Some still contained her editing comments. Others had simply been copied into Vanessa's corporate templates. Her entire body went cold. They didn't just betray her emotionally. They were building careers on top of her invisible labor while convincing the world she contributed nothing. Footsteps approached suddenly from the hallway. Erica quickly minimized the screen just as Troy entered the office. He stopped immediately upon seeing her. For half a second, something dangerous flashed across his face. Not guilt, fear. "What are you doing in here?" His voice was calm, but too calm. Erica slowly turned toward him. "I was looking for my phone charger." Troy's eyes flicked toward the laptop. "You shouldn't touch my work files." "My work files." Erica stared at him so long the silence became uncomfortable. Then quietly asked, "Did Vanessa write the Henderson proposal?" Troy loosened his cufflinks slowly. "She contributed. That's not what I asked." His jaw tightened. "You're being dramatic again." There it was. The weaponized dismissal. The thing emotionally manipulative people used when truth got too close. Erica stepped toward him carefully. "She's using my language, Troy. She works in strategy. Lots of ideas sound similar." "No," Erica whispered. "Not like this." Troy's expression hardened instantly. "You need to stop obsessing over Vanessa." Obsessing? God. He was already rewriting reality in real time. Erica felt something shift deep inside her then. Not heartbreak, not sadness, clarity. Because for the first time in 16 years, she realized Troy genuinely believed he deserved everything she gave him, including her identity, including her mind, including the years of her life he consumed. Down the hallway, the crowd suddenly erupted into applause as someone announced Troy's upcoming promotion. The sound echoed through the office walls. Troy adjusted his tuxedo calmly, then looked directly at Erica and said, "You should go back out there and smile," as if humiliation itself were part of her job description. Something changed in Erica after Chicago. Not loudly, not dramatically. She didn't scream at Troy. She didn't throw glasses against walls or demand confessions in the middle of the night. That version of her disappeared quietly on the flight back to Connecticut, while Troy slept beside her in first class, one hand resting casually near his whiskey glass, as if he hadn't just spent an entire evening humiliating her in front of strangers. Erica stared out the airplane window the whole flight. And somewhere above the clouds, she stopped hoping he would suddenly become honest. That was the beginning. Not of revenge, of detachment, which was far more dangerous. By the following Monday, the Long residence looked exactly the same from the outside. Fresh flowers delivered every Thursday, perfect landscaping, luxury SUVs parked neatly beneath the covered drive. Inside, however, Erica had started preparing for war. Quietly, methodically. The first thing she did was stop reacting emotionally around Troy. No more defending herself, no more asking questions. No more, "Who were you texting? Why are you treating me this way? Do you still love me?" Troy noticed immediately. Emotionally manipulative people always noticed when they stopped controlling the emotional temperature of a room. "You've been weird lately," he said one morning while knotting his tie. Erica slid coffee toward him without looking up. "Maybe I'm tired." "You're barely talking. You said I complained too much." Troy frowned, slightly unsettled by her calmness. Good. For years, Erica's pain had fed his superiority. Now she gave him nothing. At night, while Troy slept beside her, Erica began gathering evidence. The process became almost ritualistic. 1:13 a.m. Laptop glow against darkness. Cloud backups downloading silently. Old emails resurfacing. Voice memos transferring into hidden folders. The deeper she searched, the more horrifying the truth became. Troy hadn't merely erased her emotionally. He had systematically documented her dependence while privately relying on her intelligence for years. Every major promotion contained traces of Erica's invisible labor. Every brilliant strategy, every award-winning presentation, every expansion framework. Sometimes entire paragraphs existed word for word from documents she originally wrote. She found time-stamped edits from years earlier. Files labeled final_Troy_version. Beneath them were original drafts under her own naming system. Erica_Carter_notes. Her maiden name hit differently now, like proof she used to exist separately from him. One night, she uncovered an old audio recording accidentally saved through cloud synchronization. Troy's voice filled her headphones. "You're the only reason I survived that meeting." The recording was dated 11 years earlier. Erica closed her eyes because she remembered exactly what happened afterward. Troy received a bonus. She received flowers and a thank you kiss. Nothing else. The realization settled painfully inside her. Troy never intended for her contributions to become visible. Love to him worked best when she stayed uncredited. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Erica quickly minimized the files. Lily stood in the doorway wearing pajamas. "You're awake again." Erica forced a smile. Couldn't sleep. Lily walked into the room slowly. The older Lily became the more she observed instead of spoke. "You and Dad are getting divorced, aren't you?" The question sliced through Erica immediately. She inhaled slowly. "We're having problems." "That means yes." Erica's chest tightened painfully. Lily sat beside her on the bed. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Lily whispered, "I heard Dad yelling at you last week." Erica looked down instantly. "Honey, he said you'd have nothing without him." Silence. Lily's eyes filled carefully like she hated crying. "I didn't like it." God! Erica suddenly realized her daughter had been living inside the emotional wreckage of this marriage too. Children always knew, even when adults performed normalcy perfectly. Erica pulled Lily into her arms immediately, and for the first time in months, she almost cried again. But she stopped herself. Not because she felt nothing, because something stronger than sadness had begun growing underneath it. The next afternoon, Erica drove to a small electronics store 20 minutes away from Greenwich. The young employee behind the counter looked confused when she requested encrypted storage drives. "Work files," he asked casually. something like that. She purchased 3, then a secondary cloud backup subscription under Erica Carter instead of Erica Long. That part mattered to her more than expected. Carter, the woman she used to be before disappearing into someone else's success story. Back home, Troy was already there when she arrived unexpectedly early. He stood in the kitchen scrolling through his phone. "You're home. So are you." Board dinner got canceled. Erica nodded calmly while unpacking groceries. Troy studied her carefully. "What's with you lately?" She kept placing vegetables into the refrigerator. "What do you mean? You're acting—" He searched for the word. "Cold." The irony almost made her laugh. After years of emotional neglect now, he noticed temperature changes. "I'm just busy." With what Erica slowly closed the refrigerator door. And there it was again. That subtle disbelief that her life could possibly contain value outside serving him. Troy leaned against the marble counter. "You know what your problem is?" She waited silently. "You spend too much time inside your own head." No, her problem was that she had spent 16 years inside his. Before Erica could respond, Troy's phone buzzed on the counter between them. Vanessa. The name flashed brightly across the screen. Neither of them moved. For half a second, the entire kitchen became suffocatingly still. Troy grabbed the phone too quickly. Work reflex. Guilt reflex. "Same thing." "You can answer it," Erica said calmly. "It's business." "Then answer it." Troy narrowed his eyes slightly. "You're trying to start a fight." "No," Erica replied softly. "I think I'm finally done fighting." The sentence unsettled him visibly, because men like Troy understood anger. They understood tears. But emotional withdrawal, that terrified them. Later that evening, Erica entered Troy's office again after he fell asleep downstairs, watching financial news. This time, she knew exactly what she was searching for. Financial records. The hidden folders appeared easier now that she understood his patterns. Investment accounts, tax archives, private transfers. Then suddenly a separate account number, not attached to their shared finances. Erica opened the records slowly, and her blood went cold. Hundreds of thousands of dollars transferred gradually over 2 years into a hidden account under an LLC. Consulting Reserve Holdings. The transaction history included luxury hotel payments, international flights, jewelry purchases, and recurring payments connected to Vanessa Blake. Troy wasn't only preparing for divorce. He had been building a secret financial escape plan while portraying Erica as dependent. A sharp wave of nausea hit her, not from heartbreak anymore, from betrayal so calculated it barely felt human. Her hands trembled slightly as she photographed everything carefully using her phone. Every account number, every transfer, every hidden payment. Then she noticed one final document near the bottom. Projected divorce asset exposure. Attached beneath it was a handwritten note from Troy himself. "Keep Erica emotional. Emotional people settle fast." Erica stared at the sentence for a very long time. Then something extraordinary happened. She stopped feeling afraid of him. Completely. Because once you realize someone has been studying your kindness like a weakness, you stop wanting their love and start wanting your freedom. The divorce documents arrived on a Thursday morning. FedEx overnight. Cold, efficient, final looking. Erica stared at the thick envelope sitting on the kitchen island while rain slid down the giant windows overlooking the backyard. The house felt unusually quiet, as if even the walls understood something irreversible had entered it. Lily had already left for school. Troy had left for Manhattan before sunrise, which meant he planned this intentionally. Cowards often delivered emotional destruction remotely. Erica slowly opened the envelope. Inside sat a perfectly organized legal packet prepared by Daniel Reeves, one of New York's most aggressive divorce attorneys. The first page read, "Proposed Marital Settlement Agreement." Erica sat down slowly, then began reading. By page 3, her hands were shaking. Troy wanted primary control of nearly every major financial asset. The Greenwich Mansion, investment accounts, executive stock options, vacation property access, even clauses limiting spousal support due to her extended voluntary unemployment. Voluntary. The word made her physically ill, as if motherhood, sacrifice, emotional labor, career abandonment, caregiving. Years spent building his life had all been some luxurious hobby she casually chose. Then she reached the custody section, and her stomach dropped completely. Recommended shared custody with primary educational and financial decision authority granted to Troy Long. Erica blinked hard. Again. Then read the sentence a second time to make sure she understood correctly. Troy didn't just want to leave her. He wanted control after leaving her. The front door opened downstairs. Troy walked into the kitchen, loosening his tie casually, almost as if they were discussing mortgage paperwork instead of dismantling 16 years of marriage. "You got the documents." "Not a question." Erica looked up slowly. "You want decision authority over Lily." Troy sighed like she was already becoming difficult. "It's standard language." "No, it isn't." He tossed his car keys onto the counter. "You don't understand how these things work." There it was again. That subtle, constant positioning of himself as the intelligent adult in every conversation. Erica closed the folder carefully. "You listed me as voluntarily unemployed. You haven't worked in years." "I worked every day." Troy gave a short, humorless laugh. "No, Erica. You managed a household." The dismissal hit differently now. Not painful, revealing. Because once someone repeatedly reduces your sacrifices to convenience, you begin understanding how little humanity they actually saw in you. Erica stood slowly from the chair. "I helped build your career?" Troy rolled his eyes immediately. "Here we go. Those presentations, you edited slides occasionally. I wrote entire strategies." "No," he snapped sharply. "You helped. There's a difference." The room went silent. Rain tapped softly against the glass. Erica realized something terrifying in that moment. Troy genuinely believed his success belonged entirely to him because his name appeared publicly beside it. Invisible labor didn't count to people addicted to recognition. "You know what your issue is," Troy continued coldly. "You confuse support with contribution." Erica stared at him. 16 years, reduced to support, like she'd simply held the flashlight while he built the empire alone. Troy walked toward the espresso machine calmly. "You should sign the agreement before this gets ugly." Erica almost laughed at the absurdity. Ugly! He had an affair, stole her intellectual work, prepared secret financial accounts, planned legal strategies against her while sharing her bed, and still somehow believed she was the complication. "You already made it ugly." Troy turned toward her slowly. "No," he said quietly. "You're about to." The threat sat between them plainly now. No more pretending. No more emotional confusion disguised as marriage problems. This was power. And Troy intended to keep all of it. That evening, Diane Long arrived unannounced, carrying designer shopping bags and fake concern. "I thought you might need support," she said while entering the house. "Support?" Erica nearly smiled at the irony. Diane settled elegantly into the living room while Erica made coffee in silence. "You look exhausted," Diane observed. "I am." "Well," Diane sighed delicately, dragging these things out, "only hurts everyone." Everyone. Interesting how everyone always meant Troy. Erica placed the coffee cup in front of her. "You already know about the settlement." Troy discussed it briefly. "Of course he did." Diane crossed her legs gracefully. "You have to think realistically, Erica." Realistically. Another favorite word wealthy people used before cruelty. Troy operates in a very sophisticated financial world. Litigation could become embarrassing. For who Diane ignored the question. You haven't worked independently in years. There it was again. The narrative. Repeated so often it became accepted truth. Diane leaned forward slightly. You could still walk away comfortably if you cooperate. Comfortably. As if survival should feel like gratitude. Erica looked at her mother-in-law carefully. Do you really believe I contributed nothing to this family? Diane hesitated, only briefly, then said the cruelest thing softly. I think you made yourself too dependent on being needed. The sentence struck deeper than Erica expected, because part of her feared it was true. Not the worthless part. The disappearing part. The part of her that slowly stopped existing outside service to others. Before Erica could answer, heels clicked across the marble foyer. Vanessa Blake entered carrying a garment bag and froze upon seeing Erica. Oh, Vanessa said awkwardly. I didn't realize she's dropping off tuxedo options for the charity gala, Diane explained casually. The charity gala. The event Erica had organized every year for nearly a decade. Vanessa recovered quickly. Professional smile, perfect posture. I can come back later. No need, Diane replied smoothly. Erica stood completely still, watching them. The replacement had already begun publicly. Not officially, socially, emotionally, strategically. Vanessa approached Troy's office without another word, like she belonged there now. And maybe in their minds, she already did. That night, Erica sat alone in the dark master bedroom while Troy showered downstairs in the guest suite he'd recently started using. The divorce papers lay open beside her, page after page, describing her life like a financial inconvenience. Dependent spouse, non-income producing partner, limited workforce re-entry probability. The legal language stripped her humanity so clinically, it almost felt surgical. Her phone buzzed. A text from Troy. We should finalize this quickly for Lily's sake. Erica stared at the message for a long time. Then another message arrived. Dragging this out will only hurt you financially. Not us. You. There it was. The real Troy. Not angry. Not emotional. Calculated. He believed fear would make her surrender. And for years, it probably would have. But Troy made one catastrophic mistake. He underestimated what happens when a kind woman finally stops begging to be loved fairly. Erica slowly opened her hidden evidence folder. Thousands of files, emails, drafts, voice recordings, financial records, proof, not emotional proof, legal proof. The kind powerful men never expect invisible women to collect. Her eyes landed on the handwritten note she photographed from Troy's hidden account folder. Keep Erica emotional. Emotional people settle fast. A slow calm spread through her body. Not peace, resolve. For the first time in 16 years, Erica realized she no longer wanted to save the marriage. She wanted the truth documented. And suddenly, those were two very different things. Rachel Monroe's office did not look like the office of a woman who lost often. Dark walnut shelves lined the walls beside floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Framed degrees from Columbia and Georgetown hung behind her desk. But the real power in the room came from Rachel herself. Controlled, sharp-eyed, unimpressed by performance. The kind of woman who had heard every lie wealthy men told in divorce court and memorized the patterns. Erica sat across from her gripping a leather folder so tightly her knuckles hurt. For a moment, neither woman spoke. Rachel skimmed silently through the settlement documents Troy's legal team prepared. Occasionally, her expression tightened almost invisibly. Then finally, well, Rachel said calmly, your husband's arrogant. The sentence startled a laugh out of Erica before she could stop it. It was the first genuine sound she'd made in weeks. Rachel looked up. That reaction tells me no one's been saying the obvious around you lately. Erica exhaled shakily. I think I'm still trying to understand how everything became this ugly. Rachel closed the folder carefully. It didn't become ugly suddenly. Her voice softened slightly. You just finally saw it clearly. The words landed painfully because they were true. For years, Erica had mistaken emotional neglect for stress, manipulation for confidence, control for stability, and love. Maybe she had confused love with usefulness entirely. Rachel leaned back in her chair. Start from the beginning. So Erica did. Not elegantly, not chronologically. The truth came out in fragments. Late-night presentations, missed birthdays, career sacrifices, Vanessa, the hidden financial accounts, the document labeled Dependent Spouse Strategy. Rachel listened without interrupting once. That silence mattered more than Erica expected, because most people rush to explain away women's pain. Rachel documented it, carefully, professionally, like evidence. By the time Erica finished speaking, nearly an hour had passed. The room felt strangely quiet afterward. Rachel folded her hands together. Did Troy ever hit you? No. Threaten you physically? Rachel nodded once. Emotional coercive control rarely looks dramatic from the outside. Erica frowned slightly. What does that mean? It means some men don't need violence when psychological dependency works better. The sentence settled heavily inside Erica's chest. Rachel continued calmly. You abandoned your career trajectory to support his. Correct? Yes. You managed domestic responsibilities, yes. Contributed strategic work to his business advancement. Erica hesitated, then quietly, yes. Rachel's eyes sharpened immediately. Show me. Erica slowly removed her phone from her purse. At first, she felt ridiculous, like a woman desperately trying to prove invisible work mattered. But Rachel studied the files differently. Not emotionally, legally. Every timestamp, every draft, every forwarded email, every late-night message from Troy begging for help before executive meetings. Rachel scrolled silently for several minutes, then stopped at one email chain. Her expression changed instantly. What is this? Erica leaned closer. It was the Seattle Pharmaceutical Expansion Proposal. Rachel opened the attached documents side by side. Original draft under Erica's archived files. Final presentation under Troy's name. Nearly identical. Rachel looked up slowly. He submitted your work as his. Erica swallowed hard. He always said we were a team. Rachel's voice became dangerously calm. No, Erica. A team shares credit. Something inside Erica cracked quietly at that sentence. Not from pain. Recognition. Because hearing another woman say it aloud suddenly made years of emotional distortion feel horrifyingly obvious. Rachel continued reviewing the evidence. Then she found the voice recordings. Troy's exhausted midnight confessions. You saved my ass again. I couldn't have done this without you. You're smarter than half the board. Erica watched Rachel's expression harden more with every clip. Finally, Rachel set the phone down carefully. This is not a dependent spouse case. Erica stared at her. It isn't, no. Rachel leaned forward. This is a financial abuse case with intellectual contribution issues layered into it. The words sounded almost unreal. For months, Troy had conditioned Erica to believe she possessed no leverage, no value, no proof. Now, suddenly, someone intelligent and powerful was looking at the same evidence and seeing something entirely different. You have documentation, Rachel said firmly. Troy says none of it counts because my name wasn't officially attached. Rachel almost smiled. Arrogant men love underestimating undocumented labor. The sentence sent a chill through Erica. Rachel stood and walked toward the windows overlooking the city. You know what your husband's biggest mistake was? Erica shook her head. He taught you how he thinks. Rachel turned back toward her. He strategizes emotionally. Everything he's doing is pressure-based. Erica immediately thought of the handwritten note. Keep Erica emotional. Emotional people settle fast. Rachel continued. He wants you exhausted, insecure, reactive, and financially afraid. That's why he keeps framing you as dependent instead of discussing your actual contributions. Erica stared down at her hands. I used to think he respected me. Rachel's expression softened slightly for the first time. He probably respected your usefulness. A pause. That's not the same thing. God, that hurt more than she expected. Rachel returned to her desk and opened another folder. Tell me about Vanessa Blake. Erica hesitated briefly before explaining the copied files, the strategic language, the hidden payments, the affair rumors. Rachel wrote notes rapidly, then finally looked up again. Do you know what I think? What I think your husband got comfortable stealing from a woman who loved him. The room fell silent. And deep down, Erica knew she was right. Hours later, Erica stepped out of the law office into cold Manhattan wind, feeling emotionally disoriented. Not because things felt hopeless anymore, because for the first time in years, they didn't. Her phone buzzed before she reached the corner. Troy, she answered carefully. Where are you? At an appointment. With who? The question came too quickly, too possessively. Erica noticed it immediately now. Does it matter? A pause. Then colder. You're being secretive lately. The irony nearly made her laugh. Troy lowered his voice. Daniel Reeves contacted me. You retained Rachel Monroe. So he already knew. Of course he did. Men like Troy always monitored information aggressively once control began slipping. Yes. Another silence. Then, that was unnecessary. No, Erica replied quietly. This marriage made it necessary. Troy exhaled sharply. You're turning this into a war. No, she said softly. I think you started one a long time ago. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Troy's tone shifted completely. Smooth, dangerously calm. You really think those little files on your phone are enough to embarrass me? Little files. Erica suddenly pictured him sitting confidently in some executive office, believing money could still overpower truth. And maybe for the first time, she stopped being intimidated by him entirely. I'm not trying to embarrass you. Then what are you trying to do? Erica looked out across Manhattan traffic moving endlessly beneath gray skies, then answered honestly. I'm trying to stop disappearing. The silence on the line afterward felt different, unstable, as if Troy finally realized the version of Erica he controlled so easily was beginning to vanish. You're overreacting, he said eventually. No, Erica whispered. I think I just woke up. She hung up before he could answer. Back upstairs in her office, Rachel Monroe stood near the window reviewing Erica's files again. Then she picked up her office phone. Schedule emergency financial discovery motions, she instructed calmly. A pause. And prepare subpoena requests for Blackwell and Pierce Consulting. Rachel glanced once more at the evidence folder, then quietly added, This husband has absolutely no idea what he's walking into. The first court hearing took place on a freezing Monday morning in Manhattan Family Court. Outside reporters crowded the courthouse steps for unrelated celebrity cases, while exhausted couples passed security carrying the wreckage of marriages inside leather folders and banker boxes. Erica stood near courtroom 4B in a charcoal coat, her stomach tight enough to make breathing uncomfortable. Rachel Monroe reviewed documents beside her calmly. You okay? Rachel asked quietly. No. Rachel nodded once. That's normal. Nothing about this felt normal to Erica. Not the fluorescent courthouse lighting, not the smell of stale coffee and winter coats. not the reality of standing 20 feet away from the man she once believed she would grow old beside. Troy arrived exactly 8 minutes later with Daniel Reeves and Vanessa Blake. Of course, Vanessa came. She wore a sleek, cream-colored coat and carried herself with the confidence of someone who already imagined herself replacing Erica publicly. Troy barely looked at Erica when he walked past, but Erica noticed the tiny shift in his expression when he saw Rachel Monroe beside her. Calculation. Tension. For the first time, he looked slightly uncertain. Good. Daniel Reeves approached Rachel first. Tall, silver-haired, expensively arrogant. The kind of attorney who billed thousands per hour to destroy women politely. Rachel, he greeted smoothly. Didn't expect to see you taking a domestic dependency case. Rachel smiled faintly. Funny. I didn't realize intellectual theft and hidden assets qualified as dependency anymore. Daniel's expression barely flickered, but Troy's did, only for a second, still enough for Erica to notice. The bailiff opened the courtroom doors shortly afterward. Long divorce proceedings, parties inside. Erica's heartbeat became deafening. Courtroom 4B felt colder than the hallway. Dark wood, harsh overhead lights, American flag standing behind the judge's bench, rows of strangers waiting for their own heartbreaks to be processed legally. Judge Harrison Cole entered moments later, mid-60s, sharp eyes, controlled demeanor, a man who looked deeply unimpressed by theatrics. Everyone stood, then sat. The hearing began almost immediately. Daniel Reeves rose first, and Erica watched in real time as her marriage got rewritten into a performance narrative. Your Honor, Daniel began smoothly. My client, Mr. Troy Long, is a respected executive who has financially supported his family for over 16 years while Mrs. Long voluntarily remained unemployed. Voluntarily. Again. The word felt like acid now. Daniel continued calmly. Mr. Long has attempted reasonable settlement negotiations, but unfortunately, Mrs. Long appears determined to escalate matters emotionally. Emotionally. Another strategic word. Everything about Erica's suffering was being reframed as instability. Daniel gestured toward Troy. My client seeks fairness, stability for the minor child, and protection of the assets he independently built through years of professional dedication. Independently built. Erica almost laughed out loud. Rachel lightly touched her arm beneath the table. Stay calm. Daniel wasn't finished. Mrs. Long has no meaningful employment history during the marriage, no active professional licensing, and limited financial contribution to the marital estate. Each sentence felt carefully engineered to erase her existence. Not wife, not partner, not strategist, not mother, just a dependent expense. Then Daniel delivered the line Erica knew had been rehearsed. Mr. Long carried this family alone. Troy lowered his eyes slightly, like a man burdened by sacrifice. The performance would have been impressive if Erica hadn't lived behind the scenes of it for 16 years. Judge Cole turned toward Rachel, Counselor Monroe. Rachel stood slowly. No theatrics, no dramatic outrage, just calm precision. Your Honor, we strongly dispute opposing counsel's characterization of Mrs. Long's contributions during this marriage. Daniel smiled, faintly. Domestic contributions are not in dispute. Rachel's eyes sharpened instantly. No, she replied calmly. Professional ones are. That got the judge's attention immediately. Troy shifted beside his attorney. Rachel continued. Mrs. Long's labor extended significantly beyond household responsibilities. We intend to demonstrate documented strategic and intellectual contributions directly connected to Mr. Long's corporate advancement. Daniel almost laughed. With respect. Your Honor, helping a spouse prepare occasionally for meetings hardly constitutes ownership claims over executive success. Rachel didn't even look at him. We're not discussing occasional support. Now the room felt different. Tighter. More alert. Judge Cole leaned slightly forward. What exactly are you alleging, Ms. Monroe? Rachel opened a folder carefully. We believe Mrs. Long's work was systematically utilized without attribution over the course of the marriage, while Mr. Long simultaneously positioned her as financially dependent. Troy finally spoke for the first time. That's ridiculous. His voice was calm. But Erica heard the crack underneath it. Judge Cole looked toward him. You'll have your opportunity, Mr. Long. Troy leaned back stiffly. Rachel continued. We are also requesting immediate financial discovery expansion regarding undisclosed accounts and asset concealment concerns. Daniel objected immediately. Speculative. Rachel slid several documents toward the bench. Not speculative. Judge Cole reviewed them silently. Erica watched Troy's jaw tighten harder with every passing second. Good. Let him feel uncertainty for once. Then Daniel shifted tactics. Because men like him understood something dangerous was happening. Your Honor, he interrupted smoothly. I believe we're losing perspective here. Mrs. Long is emotionally distressed by the dissolution of her marriage, which is understandable, but we cannot allow resentment to distort reality. Emotionally distressed. There it was again. The strategy Rachel predicted. Paint her emotional, then invalidate everything she says afterward. Daniel glanced briefly toward Erica. My client worked 80-hour weeks while Mrs. Long maintained a luxury lifestyle funded entirely through his income. Luxury lifestyle. As if private suffering disappeared inside expensive houses. As if pain somehow mattered less on marble floors. Judge Cole finally turned directly toward Erica for the first time. Mrs. Long. Erica lifted her eyes slowly. You've been very quiet today, because she learned silence survives manipulation better than panic. What would you like the court to understand? The room became completely still. Troy watched her carefully, waiting, probably hoping she'd cry, or ramble emotionally, or look unstable. Instead, Erica spoke softly. I would like the court to understand that unpaid women are still working women. Even Daniel paused slightly at that. Erica continued carefully. I raised our daughter, managed our home, cared for Troy's father during chemotherapy, organized his professional events, assisted his presentations, handled client preparation, crisis management, strategic revisions. Daniel immediately interrupted. Again, ordinary spousal support. No, Erica said quietly, and for the first time in months, her voice carried steel. I built things he took credit for. Silence. Judge Cole studied her closely now. Not dismissively, curiously. Troy leaned forward suddenly. She's exaggerating because she's angry. Erica turned toward him slowly and realized something startling. He truly expected nobody to believe her, because for years nobody ever had to. Judge Cole folded his hands. Mrs. Long, he said carefully, if these contributions were substantial, why was there never formal documentation? The question hurt, because it exposed the core tragedy perfectly. Women like Erica rarely documented love. They lived it. Rachel answered before Erica could, because most spouses don't anticipate eventually needing forensic evidence to prove they mattered. The courtroom went silent again. Even Judge Cole looked affected by that one. Then Troy made his mistake. A small one, but devastating. He laughed, not loudly, just enough. A smug little breath of disbelief. And Erica suddenly remembered every time he underestimated her. Every time he assumed kindness meant weakness. Every time he mistook silence for emptiness. Judge Cole noticed it too. His expression cooled slightly. Then he looked back toward Erica. Mrs. Long, he said slowly, do you possess any direct documentation supporting these claims? Erica's heartbeat slowed strangely, because suddenly, the moment she had been preparing for was finally here. She looked down at the phone resting quietly inside her hands, then back at the judge. Yes, she said softly, I do. The courtroom became so quiet, Erica could hear the faint buzzing of fluorescent lights overhead. Judge Harrison Cole looked toward the phone in her hands, then back at her. What kind of documentation? Across the room, Troy shifted slightly in his chair. Just slightly. But Erica noticed, because after 16 years of marriage, she knew every version of his discomfort. The controlled jaw, the still shoulders, the tiny flicker behind his eyes whenever control started slipping away. Rachel Monroe stood calmly beside Erica. "We'd like permission to submit digital evidence, Your Honor." Daniel Reeves immediately rose. "We object to any informal digital dump lacking proper authentication." Rachel didn't even glance at him. "The files are time-stamped, cloud-backed, and fully traceable." Judge Cole extended his hand slightly toward Erica. "Mrs. Long," he said carefully, "may I see the device?" For a moment, Erica froze, not because she feared the truth, because of what the moment represented. 16 years of invisible labor, invisible sacrifice, invisible intelligence, compressed into a single phone no one believed mattered. She stood slowly, walked toward the bench, and handed it to the judge. Troy watched the movement with growing tension. "Good." Judge Cole adjusted his glasses and looked down at the screen while Rachel guided him through the evidence. "Folder labeled Strategic Draft Archives," Rachel explained calmly. The judge opened it. Dozens of files appeared instantly: proposal revisions, speech notes, market analyses, corporate branding frameworks, many dated years earlier. Judge Cole frowned slightly. "These are yours?" "Yes, Your Honor." Erica answered quietly. Daniel interrupted immediately. Again, occasional editing assistance between spouses is hardly unusual. Rachel nodded once. Agreed. Then she selected 2 documents side by side on the courtroom display monitor. The first file, Erica Carter, Seattle Expansion Draft. The second, Troy Long Final Board Presentation. The room went still. Entire paragraphs matched, word for word. Even formatting structures were nearly identical. Judge Cole looked toward Troy slowly. Mr. Long. Troy cleared his throat. "My wife occasionally helped organize my ideas." Organize. Erica almost smiled at the absurdity. Rachel clicked another file, then another, then another. Patterns emerged rapidly. Dozens of corporate strategies first existed inside Erica's archived files before appearing later under Troy's executive submissions. The timeline was devastating. And for the first time all morning, people in the courtroom started looking at Erica differently. Not like a dependent wife, like a woman erased professionally. Daniel tried recovering quickly. "Collaboration within marriage does not constitute ownership of executive work product." Rachel nodded calmly. "No one said ownership." She paused. "We said contribution." The distinction mattered, and suddenly the courtroom understood it. Judge Cole continued reviewing the files silently. Then he stopped at an email chain. The subject line read, "Urgent, need help, before board meeting." The judge opened it. Troy's message filled the screen. "Erica, please fix this. They're going to tear me apart tomorrow." Attached beneath it was Erica's rewritten presentation draft. Time, stamp, 2:11 a.m. Judge Cole read further. Troy's reply. "You saved me again. I swear I couldn't survive these meetings without you." The silence afterward felt heavier now, more dangerous. Troy shifted again beside Daniel Reeves. This proves nothing except normal marital support. But his voice lacked confidence this time. Rachel stepped forward. "Then perhaps we should continue." She opened another folder labeled Client Dinner Notes. Inside were detailed behavioral analyses Erica prepared before Troy's executive negotiations. Personality breakdowns, conversation leverage points, conflict anticipation strategies. Judge Cole looked genuinely surprised now. "These are highly sophisticated." Erica swallowed carefully. "I studied negotiation strategy during graduate school." The judge looked back at Troy. You testified earlier your wife had no meaningful professional involvement in your career. Troy's jaw tightened. She didn't work for the company. That answer sounded weaker now. Smaller. Rachel clicked open another file, a handwritten speech draft. At the bottom sat Erica's digital notes in tracked edits. Troy's final keynote speech from Blackwell and Pierce appeared beside it on screen. Almost identical. One executive quote from the speech had even gone viral online years earlier. Leadership isn't power, it's emotional architecture. The courtroom monitor displayed Erica's original typed sentence from 3 years earlier. Troy stared at the screen silently, and Erica suddenly remembered writing those words while Lily slept beside her with pneumonia. She'd worked all night helping Troy prepare. He got a standing ovation the next morning. She got exhaustion. Judge Cole leaned back slightly. "Mr. Long," he said carefully, "your earlier statement that Mrs. Long never worked a day appears embarrassingly misleading." Daniel stood immediately. "Your Honor, emotional support within a marriage." "Stop calling it emotional support," Rachel interrupted sharply for the first time. The room stilled. Rachel's composure rarely cracked, which made the moment powerful. She provided strategic labor crisis management drafting negotiation analysis and intellectual contribution over the course of 16 years, while raising their child and maintaining the household infrastructure supporting Mr. Long's executive career. Rachel turned toward Troy directly. "You simply decided it didn't count because nobody was paying her publicly." Troy's face hardened instantly. "This is absurd." "No," Rachel replied coldly. "This is documented." Judge Cole looked back toward Erica. "Mrs. Long," he said slowly, "why didn't you ever request formal recognition?" The question hurt more than Erica expected, because the answer was painfully simple. "I thought we were building a life together." God. The courtroom became unbearably quiet after that. Even Daniel Reeves stopped speaking for a moment. Erica continued softly. "I didn't think I needed contracts with my husband." Something shifted visibly in Judge Cole's expression then. Not pity, understanding. Rachel carefully opened another file. "This next piece is particularly relevant." Troy immediately straightened. "What is that?" Rachel ignored him. A new email chain appeared on screen. The sender, Troy Long. Recipient, Vanessa Blake. Subject line, Revised Henderson Rollout. Attached beneath it was Erica's original strategy framework. Completely copied. Vanessa's edits appeared on top of Erica's work. The timeline made the transfer obvious. Daniel objected instantly. Speculation regarding workplace collaboration. Rachel clicked another timestamp, then another. Then a metadata trail appeared. Original creator Erica Carter. Modified by Vanessa Blake. Transferred through Troy Long. The courtroom atmosphere changed completely after that. Even strangers sitting in the back row exchanged glances now. Troy finally lost composure, slightly. "This is being manipulated, completely out of context." Rachel looked at him calmly, then explained the context. For once, he couldn't immediately. And Erica realized something profound in that moment. Powerful men survive by controlling narratives, but narratives collapse when evidence starts speaking independently. Judge Cole slowly set the phone down, then folded his hands together thoughtfully. "I'll admit," he said carefully, "this is substantially more documentation than the court typically sees in domestic contribution disputes." Daniel attempted one final recovery. "Your Honor, regardless of informal assistance, Mr. Long remains the sole, documented executive employee." Judge Cole interrupted him. "Yes, Counselor, but your client also testified." Mrs. Long contributed nothing. Nothing. That word was beginning to haunt Troy now. Rachel looked toward Erica briefly, a silent acknowledgement. "You're being seen. For the first time in years. Truly seen." Then Judge Cole picked up the phone again. There appear to be additional audio files. Troy's entire posture changed instantly. Sharp, alert, dangerous. Rachel remained calm. Yes, Your Honor. Troy stood abruptly. We object to any private recordings taken out of context. But Erica already knew. He remembered exactly which recordings existed. And for the first time since entering the courtroom, Troy Long looked afraid. Troy's fear changed the entire courtroom atmosphere. Until that moment, he had still looked like a man, confident he could control the narrative. Now he looked like a man trying to calculate damage. Judge Harrison Cole glanced toward the audio folder still open on Erica's phone. Then toward Troy. Mr. Long, he said carefully, are you contesting the authenticity of these recordings? Daniel Reeves answered immediately. We have not yet reviewed them in full, Your Honor, and we strongly object to selective contextual interpretation. Are they authentic? The judge repeated. Troy hesitated, tiny, brief, but fatal, because innocent people answered quickly. Yes, Troy said tightly, but private marital conversations can easily be distorted. Rachel Monroe stepped forward calmly. Then let's hear them in full. The silence afterward felt almost electric. Judge Cole nodded once. Proceed. Rachel selected the first file. The courtroom speakers crackled softly. Then Troy's voice filled the room. Drunk, exhausted, careless. Erica, if this merger fails, I'm dead. Static. Ice clinking in a glass. Then Erica's younger voice. You need to stop panicking and focus on the leverage points. The recording continued. Troy laughed weakly. That's why you're smarter than me. A pause. Then, seriously, I don't know how you do this stuff. The room remained completely silent. Rachel let the audio continue. You built this entire strategy in one night, Troy admitted in the recording. I'm just the idiot presenting it. A sharp breath escaped somewhere in the gallery seating. Daniel Reeves shifted uncomfortably. Troy stared straight ahead, now jaw locked hard enough to hurt. Rachel clicked another file. This one was dated 4 years earlier. Again, Troy's voice. More sober this time. More dangerous. If anyone at the company knew how much you actually helped me, it would become complicated. Erica's recorded voice sounded confused. What does that mean? Troy laughed quietly. It means executives don't exactly respect men whose wives run their brains. The courtroom stilled further. Judge Cole's expression darkened almost imperceptibly. Rachel opened another recording immediately. Troy, again. Angrier this time. Do you know how humiliating it would look if people thought my wife built my presentations? Erica's recorded voice whispered, We're supposed to be partners. Then came the sentence that seemed to drain all oxygen from the room. No one respects unpaid women, Erica. Especially housewives. Silence. Absolute silence. Even Daniel Reeves stopped pretending to write notes. Troy's face had gone pale now, not embarrassed. Cornered. Rachel allowed the quiet to linger intentionally before playing the next clip. This recording sounded newer. Maybe a year old. Troy speaking to someone else. Vanessa. You really think she suspects anything? Vanessa asked. Troy laughed coldly. Erica notices emotions, not strategy. Vanessa chuckled softly. What about the files? She won't do anything, Troy replied confidently. Women like Erica don't fight back. They just cry and try to save the marriage. The cruelty in his voice hit harder than the affair itself. Because Erica realized something devastating listening to it publicly. Troy had studied her kindness like a weakness and weaponized it. Judge Cole removed his glasses slowly. Mr. Long, he said carefully, this is deeply concerning. Troy finally snapped. Oh, come on, he muttered bitterly. Every frustrated husband says things privately. Rachel's eyes flashed immediately. No, she said sharply. Not every husband systematically erases his wife's labor while building a legal narrative against her. Daniel stood quickly. Your Honor, emotional marital conversations should not overshadow the practical reality that my client remains the sole employed executive. Rachel interrupted him again, because she stayed home supporting him. Daniel raised his voice slightly. That was her choice. No, Rachel fired back coldly. It was their arrangement. The distinction echoed loudly inside the courtroom, because everyone suddenly understood the real issue now. Troy benefited from Erica's sacrifice privately while publicly degrading the very sacrifices he requested from her. Judge Cole leaned back heavily in his chair. "Mrs. Long," he said quietly, "did you know these recordings existed?" Erica swallowed carefully. "Some of them. Why keep them?" The question caught her off guard, because honestly, she didn't know at first. Then she answered truthfully. "I think part of me needed proof I wasn't imagining who he became." The honesty in her voice made even the courtroom clerk glance up briefly. Troy finally looked directly at Erica for the first time that morning, and the anger in his eyes shocked her. Not remorse, not shame, anger that she exposed him, as if truth itself were betrayal. Rachel clicked open the final recording. "This one," she said softly, "is especially relevant regarding financial intent." Troy immediately stood again. "We object." Judge Cole didn't even look at him. "Sit down, Mr. Long." Rachel pressed play. The recording quality sounded rougher than the others, like it had activated accidentally. Troy's voice filled the speakers. Sharp, cold, strategic. Keep Erica emotional. Emotional people settle fast. A woman's voice answered quietly. "Vanessa. And if she fights," Troy laughed under his breath. "She won't. No one's going to believe a housewife over me." The silence afterward felt devastating. Not dramatic, not explosive, just devastating. Because the room finally saw the full picture. Not a failing marriage. A calculated dismantling. Judge Cole stared at Troy for several long seconds, then asked quietly, "Did you conceal assets from your spouse?" Daniel immediately objected. "Your Honor." "Sit down," the judge repeated more firmly this time. Troy inhaled slowly. "Any financial decisions I made were legal. That wasn't my question." The pressure in the courtroom had shifted completely now. Troy knew it. Daniel knew it. Vanessa definitely knew it. She sat frozen in the gallery, suddenly looking far less elegant than before. Rachel stepped forward calmly. "We are requesting immediate forensic review of all undisclosed accounts connected to Mr. Long and associated entities." Judge Cole nodded slowly. "Granted." Daniel's face tightened instantly. Rachel continued. "We also request subpoena authority for Blackwell and Pierce corporate communication records related to strategic submissions authored by Mr. Long during the marriage." Granted. Another hit. Another crack in Troy's carefully controlled world. For the first time since the proceedings began, Troy looked genuinely rattled. Not because Erica cried, not because she begged, because she documented. And powerful men feared documentation more than emotion. Judge Cole folded his hands together again. "I want to be very clear," he said carefully. "The court takes financial concealment and intentional misrepresentation extremely seriously." His eyes shifted toward Troy, especially while simultaneously portraying a spouse as professionally irrelevant. Troy's composure finally fractured slightly. "This is insane," he muttered. "I built my career." Erica looked at him quietly across the courtroom and suddenly understood something heartbreaking. He actually believed it, not entirely as a lie, as entitlement. He believed visibility belonged exclusively to the person standing at the podium, not the exhausted woman building the speech at 2 a.m. Judge Cole glanced once more at Erica's phone, then at her. "Mrs. Long," he said carefully, "I suspect this matter is substantially larger than initially presented." Rachel answered softly, "Yes, Your Honor." The judge nodded once, then delivered the sentence that made Troy's face lose all remaining color. I believe the court will require full corporate discovery moving forward. And just like that, the walls around Troy Long's carefully constructed life began collapsing publicly. By Wednesday morning, the story had already spread through Blackwell and Pierce Consulting. Not publicly, not on the news, but inside corporate America, scandals moved faster than headlines, especially the expensive ones. Executives whispered behind glass office doors. Assistants exchanged nervous looks near elevators. Partners suddenly became unavailable for lunch meetings with Troy Long. And for the first time in years, Troy walked into headquarters without controlling the room. He felt it immediately. The shift. People who once rushed to greet him now avoided eye contact. Conversations stopped when he entered conference areas. Even junior associates suddenly looked uncomfortable around him. Fear traveled through corporations like smoke. And right now, Troy smelled like liability. Troy. He turned sharply near the executive elevators. Malcolm Pierce stood there waiting. Co-founder of Blackwell and Pierce. 62 years old. Sharp gray suit. Calm predator eyes. Malcolm rarely repeated himself and almost never raised his voice, which made him terrifying. We need to talk. Not. Do you have a minute? Not. How are things? We need to talk. Troy followed him into a private conference room overlooking Manhattan. The moment the door closed, Malcolm tossed a thick folder onto the table. Inside were printed screenshots from Erica's evidence files, timestamp comparisons, proposal drafts, corporate metadata, the voice recording transcripts. Troy's stomach tightened instantly. This is a personal divorce matter, he said carefully. Malcolm stared at him without expression. Did your wife build company strategy materials? Troy exhaled slowly. She occasionally helped organize ideas. Wrong answer. Malcolm's eyes hardened immediately. I didn't ask if she organized them. Silence. Troy adjusted his cufflinks. My wife supported me professionally. Malcolm leaned back slightly. You presented her work as yours. Troy's jaw tightened. Legally, everything submitted to the company came through me. Corporate answer, not moral answer. Malcolm looked disgusted. You know what concerns me most? Troy stayed silent. Not the affair. That surprised him slightly. It's the dishonesty. Malcolm tapped the folder. You stood in front of boards, investors, and clients selling yourself as the sole architect of ideas your wife heavily contributed to. Troy felt anger rising defensively now. She was my spouse. Malcolm's voice became colder. And apparently your unpaid ghost strategist. The sentence hit harder than Troy expected, because, deep down, he knew it was true, but acknowledging it out loud made him feel strangely exposed. Malcolm continued quietly. The board is reviewing whether your conduct created disclosure concerns for the firm. Troy stared at him. You're serious? Very. A dangerous silence settled over the room. Then Malcolm added, and frankly, I'm beginning to question whether we promoted the correct. Long. That sentence landed like a physical blow. Across town, Erica sat inside Rachel Monroe's office, reviewing financial discovery updates when her phone buzzed repeatedly. Unknown numbers, texts, emails. At first, she assumed it was media outreach somehow leaking through. Then she opened one message. From Claire Matthews. I just wanted to say, everyone's talking about what you did in court. Another message arrived seconds later. Honestly, a lot of us always knew. Then another. You deserved credit. Erica stared at the screen in stunned silence. For years, she believed nobody saw her, but apparently, people had. They just stayed quiet because Troy occupied the spotlight. Rachel glanced up from her desk. What is it? Erica handed her the phone. Rachel skimmed the messages quickly, then nodded once. This is how reputational collapse starts. Erica swallowed. I didn't want revenge. Rachel's expression softened slightly. No, you wanted acknowledgement. A pause. Those are different things. Meanwhile, Vanessa Blake sat rigidly inside her luxury condo, staring at her own phone in growing panic. 3 scheduled meetings had suddenly been canceled. One executive assistant informed her the board wished to temporarily pause strategic collaboration reviews. Temporary. Corporate language for contamination. Vanessa immediately called Troy. He answered on the 3rd ring. What? No warmth, no affection, just stress. Why is everyone acting weird today? Troy rubbed his forehead aggressively inside the empty conference room. Because the court ordered discovery. Vanessa's voice sharpened instantly. You told me those recordings weren't important. They weren't supposed to become public. Well, they did. Silence. Then Vanessa whispered the thing neither of them wanted to say out loud. They think we stole her work. Troy's voice became icy. She assisted. Troy. Vanessa snapped quietly. The metadata literally has her name on the files. He didn't answer. Because there was no answer. Vanessa suddenly felt cold all over. Not guilty. Threatened. The difference mattered. That evening, Erica drove to Greenwich Academy to pick Lily up after debate practice. For once, she arrived early. She sat quietly in the parking lot, watching teenagers laugh beneath winter sunset skies, while exhaustion settled deep into her bones. Not physical exhaustion. Identity exhaustion. The kind women carried after years of emotional invisibility. Then Lily appeared through the school doors. The moment she entered the car, she looked at Erica carefully. Did something happen? Erica frowned slightly. What do you mean? You look different. Different. Yes, because for the first time in years, people were finally telling the truth around her. Lily buckled her seatbelt slowly. Dad called me during lunch. Erica's stomach tightened. What did he say? That things are getting complicated. Of course, he framed himself as burdened. Lily stared out the window quietly, then softly asked, Did you really help Dad with his job all those years? The question hurt unexpectedly, because Erica suddenly realized her daughter had grown up believing her mother simply existed inside the house. Not as a woman with intelligence, or ambition, or sacrificed potential. Yes, Erica answered quietly. I did. Lily turned toward her fully now. Then why did he say you didn't work God? There it was. The question at the center of everything. Why did the world erase women whose labor happened privately? Erica tightened her grip on the steering wheel. Because some people only respect work when there's a paycheck attached to it. Lily looked angry suddenly. That's stupid. A laugh escaped Erica before she could stop it. Small, broken, real. Yes, she whispered. It is. Later that night, Troy returned home after 10 p.m. The mansion felt colder lately, emptier, like the house itself sensed the marriage rotting inside it. He entered the kitchen, expecting silence. Instead, he found Erica sitting calmly at the island, reviewing documents beside a cup of untouched tea. She didn't look up immediately, and somehow, that unsettled him more than screaming would have. You embarrassed me today. The accusation came automatically. Erica finally raised her eyes slowly. No, Troy. Her calmness irritated him instantly. You did that yourself. His jaw flexed hard. You're destroying my career over marital resentment. Erica stared at him for several long seconds, then quietly asked, Do you even hear yourself anymore? Troy laughed bitterly. You think you're some victim now? No, Erica replied softly. I think I was one for a very long time. The words hit harder than shouting ever could, because they sounded undeniable. Troy suddenly realized something horrifying then. Erica no longer needed him emotionally, and once a woman stopped needing approval from the man diminishing her, control disappeared fast. His phone buzzed. An email notification. From Blackwell and Pierce Executive Board. Subject Administrative Review Notice. Troy opened it and felt his stomach drop. Pending internal investigation and your executive responsibilities are temporarily suspended, effective immediately. He stared at the screen silently, then looked up at Erica, for the first time since the divorce began. He looked afraid of losing something bigger than the marriage. Himself. The first time Erica walked into Blackwell and Pierce without Troy beside her, she almost turned around and left. The building towered above Midtown Manhattan like a monument to power and ego. Glass, steel, precision. For years, Erica had entered through side doors carrying garment bags, event folders, or forgotten presentation notes for Troy. Never as herself. Never invited. Now the receptionist smiled warmly. "Good morning, Ms. Carter. Mr. Pierce is expecting you." Ms. Carter, not Mrs. Long. Not Troy's wife. The words hit something deep inside her chest. Erica followed the executive assistant toward the private conference floor, her palms damp despite the cold February air outside. She wore a simple navy suit Rachel helped her choose, elegant but understated. Professional. Capable. Real. Still, insecurity clawed at her with every step. 16 years outside the workforce. 16 years being introduced as supportive instead of intelligent. What if Troy was right? What if she only knew how to exist beside someone else? The assistant stopped outside a large glass office. "Mr. Pierce will see you now." Erica inhaled once, then entered. Malcolm Pierce stood near the windows, overlooking Manhattan, hands folded behind his back. He turned as she approached, studying her quietly for a moment. "You look exactly how I imagined," he said. Erica frowned slightly. "I'm not sure what that means." Tired, he answered honestly. "And underestimated." The bluntness startled a small laugh out of her. Malcolm gestured toward a chair. "Sit." She obeyed carefully. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Malcolm slid a thick binder across the table. Erica recognized the documents instantly. Her documents. Proposal drafts. Strategy frameworks. Timeline comparisons. Her stomach tightened. "I spent the last 48 hours reviewing these," Malcolm said calmly. Erica looked down quietly, and Malcolm leaned back slightly. "And if even half of this had been publicly credited properly, your husband wouldn't have been the only executive climbing this company." The room went completely still. Erica looked at him slowly. For years, she imagined hearing words like that from Troy. Recognition, respect, acknowledgement. Instead, it came from a near stranger. Malcolm continued, "You understand behavioral negotiation strategy exceptionally well." Erica blinked slightly. "That was always my favorite area." "I can tell." He tapped one of the documents. This pharmaceutical expansion analysis predicted consumer resistance patterns almost perfectly. Our board praised Troy for that work for years. A strange grief moved through Erica then, because hearing her contributions validated publicly only reminded her how deliberately Troy erased them privately. Malcolm's expression softened slightly. "You deserved credit." The sentence nearly broke her, not dramatically, quietly, like someone finally naming a wound she spent years pretending didn't hurt. Erica looked toward the windows, quickly blinking hard. "I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with my life anymore." Malcolm didn't rush to comfort her. Good leaders rarely did. "You start by understanding something important," he said calmly. "Time spent supporting your family did not erase your intelligence." God. Rachel said something similar. "You were never behind. You were hidden." The words echoed inside Erica again. Malcolm opened another folder. "I'm not interested in your marriage drama," he said plainly. "But I am interested in talent." He slid a document toward her. Strategic Advisory Consultant Proposal. Erica stared at it in shock. "You're offering me a job." A consulting contract initially. Her pulse quickened instantly. Fear, excitement, panic, hope, all at once. I haven't worked professionally in years. Malcolm raised an eyebrow. You literally built executive-level strategy frameworks while raising a child and managing a household. That sounds like work to me. Erica looked down at the contract again. The salary alone made her dizzy. Not because of the money, because someone believed her mind still had value. Malcolm stood. Take 24 hours. Why? Because women conditioned to doubt themselves usually say no too quickly. The sentence followed Erica all the way back to Connecticut. By the time she pulled into the mansion driveway, dusk had already fallen over the property. Warm lights glowed behind giant windows that no longer felt like home. Inside, the atmosphere had changed dramatically since Troy's suspension. The staff moved awkwardly. Phone calls stopped when he entered rooms. Even Diane had gone strangely quiet. Humiliation was finally reaching him. Good. Erica found Troy sitting alone in the living room with whiskey in his hand and financial news muted on television. He looked up immediately when she entered. Where were you? The old version of Erica would have answered automatically. This version paused first. In the city. With who? She removed her coat slowly. Why? His jaw tightened. You're acting like I'm the enemy. Erica almost laughed at the absurdity. You made me your enemy the moment you started planning how to destroy me legally. Troy stood abruptly. I never tried to destroy you. No, Erica stared at him. You documented me like a liability. That was legal preparation. You hid money. You forced this into court. You erased me. That one landed. Hard. Troy's expression flickered slightly. For one brief second, he almost looked guilty. Then ego returned. You're enjoying this now, aren't you? The question stunned her, because somehow, even now, he still believed her pain existed to emotionally revolve around him. No, Erica whispered tiredly. I'm grieving. Troy looked away first. That almost never happened. Erica walked upstairs slowly afterward, clutching Malcolm's offer letter inside her purse. Halfway down the hallway, she heard footsteps behind her. Mom Lily stood near her bedroom door, holding a textbook against her chest. You okay? Erica smiled softly. I think so. Lily noticed the envelope in her hand. What's that? Erica hesitated, then quietly said a job offer. Lily's eyes widened instantly. Seriously, Erica nodded. For the first time in months, genuine excitement lit Lily's face. That's amazing. The emotion in her daughter's voice hit Erica unexpectedly hard, because suddenly she realized what Lily was seeing. Not a discarded wife, a woman rebuilding herself. Lily grinned slightly. What would your title be? Erica laughed softly through sudden tears. I honestly don't know yet. But later that night, standing alone in the master bathroom mirror, Erica finally understood something important. She did know one thing. If she accepted the position, she would never walk into that building as Erica Long. That woman disappeared slowly inside somebody else's success story. No. This version of her would enter differently. Not hidden, not erased, not apologizing for existing. She picked up her phone, opened Malcolm's email, and slowly typed, Erica Carter accepts. The custody hearing began 3 weeks later. By then, Troy Long no longer looked untouchable. The sharp confidence that once followed him into every room had cracked under pressure. His suspension from Blackwell and Pierce remained temporary, but everyone understood what that usually meant in corporate America. Executives stopped returning calls. Industry friends became cautious. Even Vanessa Blake had disappeared from public view. But Troy still believed he could win one thing: Lily. And somehow that hurt Erica more than the affair ever did. Because custody hearings forced children to stand inside the emotional ruins adults created. The courtroom felt colder this time, more personal. Judge Harrison Cole reviewed documents silently while Rachel Monroe organized notes beside Erica. Across the aisle, Troy sat beside Daniel Reeves, wearing a navy suit and exhaustion beneath his eyes. He looked older lately, not wiser, just exposed. The hearing began calmly enough. Then Daniel stood. "Your Honor," he began smoothly. "Mr. Long acknowledges mistakes within the marriage, but the issue before this court is stability for the child." Stability. Interesting word coming from the man who detonated their family. Daniel continued. "Mr. Long has consistently provided financially maintained educational structure and remains deeply committed to his daughter's future." Troy lowered his head slightly at all the appropriate moments. The performance, again. Only now Erica could see the mechanics of it clearly. Every pause calculated, every expression measured. Daniel glanced toward Erica briefly. Meanwhile, Mrs. Long's recent emotional volatility, sudden career transition, and ongoing public conflict raised concerns regarding long-term consistency. Emotional volatility. Again, they always returned to that. Because when women stopped accepting mistreatment quietly, powerful people called it instability. Rachel stood immediately afterward. "Your Honor, Mrs. Long has been the primary emotional and physical caregiver for Lily Long throughout her entire life." She gestured toward the records. "School coordination, medical management, daily transportation, academic support, household continuity, emotional care." Then Rachel's voice sharpened slightly. "And unlike Mr. Long, she never treated parenting as a performance metric." Troy's jaw flexed instantly. Judge Cole looked down at his notes. "Has the child expressed a custodial preference?" Daniel answered quickly. "Lily is emotionally overwhelmed by the divorce." Translation. "Don't let her speak." Rachel noticed too. "We believe Lily deserves the opportunity to be heard respectfully." A long silence followed. Then the judge nodded once. "Bring her in." Erica's heart immediately tightened. God, Lily should have been worrying about debate tournaments and college applications. Not this. The side courtroom door opened softly moments later. Lily entered wearing a dark blue sweater and nervous eyes, far too old for 14. Erica nearly broke seeing her, because Lily looked careful now. Children raised around emotional tension learned caution early. Judge Cole softened his tone slightly. "Good morning, Lily. Good morning. You understand you're not responsible for choosing between your parents today?" Lily nodded quietly. "Yes, sir." The judge gave a small, reassuring nod. "We only want honesty." Lily glanced briefly toward Erica first, then toward Troy, and Erica noticed something painful immediately. Lily no longer looked at her father with uncomplicated trust. Daniel approached carefully. "Lily, your father loves you very much, correct? Yes. And he's always worked hard for your family, yes." Daniel smiled slightly. "And your mother has understandably been under emotional stress lately." Rachel objected instantly. "Sustained." Judge Cole looked irritated already. "Good." Lily shifted uncomfortably in her chair. Daniel changed direction. "You'd agree your father provided stability growing up?" Before Lily could answer, Troy looked at her. Not aggressively. Worse. Hopefully. As if expecting loyalty. And Erica suddenly realized something heartbreaking. Troy still thought love automatically guaranteed forgiveness. Lily looked down at her hands, then quietly asked, "Can I say something?" Judge Cole nodded. "Of course." Lily inhaled shakily. "My dad always talks about money like it's the only thing that counts." The room went still instantly. Daniel's expression tightened. Lily continued softly. "He says Mom doesn't understand pressure because she didn't work." Erica felt tears burn behind her eyes immediately. Not because of the insult, because Lily heard it. All those years. All those careless, cruel comments spoken near hallways and kitchen counters and half-open doors. Children always heard more than adults believed. Lily's voice trembled slightly now, but Mom was always the one actually there. Silence. Absolute silence. She helped me with homework, stayed awake when I was sick, fixed everything when Dad got stressed. Troy shifted visibly. Lily Judge Cole immediately stopped him. "Do not interrupt." Lily swallowed hard. Then came the sentence that shattered whatever remained of Troy's public image. One night she whispered, "I heard Dad tell Mom nobody would believe her because she was just a housewife." The courtroom froze. Troy looked horrified instantly. Not because he said it, because Lily remembered it. God! Erica suddenly felt physically sick. Her daughter carried that memory alone this whole time. Lily blinked rapidly, trying not to cry. I hated hearing him talk to her like that. Rachel remained completely still beside Erica. Even Daniel Reeves looked uncomfortable now. Judge Cole spoke gently. "Lily, do you feel safe with both parents?" "Yes." "Do you feel emotionally supported by both parents?" Lily hesitated. Too long. Then quietly, "Mom listens when I'm scared." The sentence barely rose above a whisper, but it destroyed the room anyway, because everyone understood what she didn't say. Judge Cole leaned back thoughtfully. "Do you have a preference regarding primary residence?" Troy stared at Lily now with visible desperation. "Please choose me. Please protect me. Please undo this." Lily looked toward her father, and for one heartbreaking second, Erica saw the child inside her, trying to save both parents at once. Then Lily answered softly, "I want to stay mostly with Mom." Troy looked like someone punched him. "Lily." This time his voice cracked, real emotion finally breaking through performance. But it was too late, because children eventually recognized where emotional safety actually lived. Lily's eyes filled with tears now. "I'm tired of pretending everything's normal." God! The honesty nearly destroyed Erica. Judge Cole dismissed Lily gently a few moments later. As soon as the door closed behind her, the courtroom remained painfully quiet. Then suddenly, Diane Long stood from the back row. No one expected it, especially Troy. Diane looked older lately too, smaller somehow, as if reality finally stripped away the certainty wealth gave her. She stared at her son across the courtroom and quietly said, "She heard you." Troy looked stunned. "Mother." "All those years," Diane whispered painfully. "And she heard you. For the first time in his life." Troy Long looked ashamed. Not publicly embarrassed, actually ashamed. But Erica realized something devastating then. Shame arriving late still didn't erase damage. Judge Cole adjusted the paperwork in front of him slowly, then looked toward both legal teams. "I will review final custodial recommendations carefully." His eyes shifted briefly toward Troy, especially regarding emotional conduct within the household. And suddenly, for the first time since the divorce began, Erica no longer feared losing. Rain hammered against the courthouse windows the morning the final ruling was delivered. New York looked gray outside. Heavy. Exhausted. Exactly how Erica felt. She sat quietly beside Rachel Monroe in courtroom 4B, hands folded tightly in her lap, while people shuffled papers around her. The room felt strangely familiar now. Months ago, she entered this courtroom terrified of disappearing. Today, she entered knowing she already survived the worst part, being unseen by the person she loved. Across the aisle, Troy looked different. Smaller, somehow. Not physically. Energetically. The arrogance that once filled every room around him had eroded under weeks of exposure, investigation, and public humiliation. His suspension from Blackwell and Pierce had become permanent 3 days earlier. Vanessa Blake resigned quietly after internal review findings connected her to undisclosed document transfers. Industry blogs whispered. Executives distanced themselves. The empire Troy built on image was collapsing exactly where he valued himself most publicly. Judge Harrison Cole entered precisely at 9 a.m. Everyone stood, then sat. The courtroom settled into tense silence. Judge Cole adjusted his glasses slowly before speaking. I have reviewed extensive financial documentation, testimonial, evidence, custodial evaluations, and digital records submitted throughout these proceedings. His voice remained calm, measured, but Erica noticed something important immediately. The judge no longer sounded uncertain about what happened in this marriage. He understood it now, completely. Judge Cole continued. This case involves issues substantially beyond ordinary marital dissolution. Troy's jaw tightened immediately. Good. The judge looked down briefly at his notes. The court finds compelling evidence that Mrs. Erica Long, also professionally identified in records as Erica Carter, provided extensive unpaid labor, contributing materially to the advancement of Mr. Long's executive career. The room went completely still. Erica felt her chest tighten painfully, because after years of being erased, someone with authority was finally saying it aloud, not emotionally, officially. Judge Cole continued carefully. The court further finds evidence of intentional narrative manipulation regarding Mrs. Long's professional contributions and financial dependency. Troy lowered his eyes. Rachel remained perfectly calm beside Erica, though Erica noticed the slight satisfaction in her expression. Judge Cole turned a page. Regarding financial concealment, the court finds Mr. Long failed to disclose multiple accounts and related transfers during preliminary proceedings. Daniel Reeves closed his eyes briefly. They lost that battle weeks ago. Now came consequences. The court therefore orders revised equitable distribution reflecting both concealed assets and documented intellectual contribution. Erica almost stopped breathing. Troy looked up sharply. The judge continued, the marital residence shall be sold with proceeds divided accordingly under revised calculations submitted through forensic review. Troy's face darkened immediately. The mansion mattered to him, not emotionally, symbolically. Judge Cole wasn't finished. Mrs. Long shall receive compensatory financial consideration connected to demonstrable strategic labor contributions directly benefiting Mr. Long's executive advancement during the marriage. The courtroom became dead silent. Even strangers sitting in the gallery looked stunned. Because this wasn't merely alimony, it was acknowledgement. Legal acknowledgement. Erica suddenly felt tears burning behind her eyes again. Not from sadness. Validation. God. Validation after years of invisibility felt almost physically overwhelming. Judge Cole shifted toward custody. Regarding the minor child, Lily Long, Troy straightened immediately. The court recognizes Mrs. Long as the child's primary emotional and developmental caregiver throughout the marriage. Erica's heart pounded hard. Primary residential custody is therefore granted to Mrs. Long. Troy's face drained instantly. Shared parental access remains encouraged. The judge added carefully, provided communication remains respectful and emotionally appropriate. Emotionally appropriate. A polite, judicial warning. Judge Cole finally looked directly toward Troy. And for the first time during the entire case, his voice carried unmistakable disappointment. Mr. Long, he said carefully, this court is particularly troubled by the documented pattern of minimizing your spouse's labor while simultaneously benefiting from it extensively. Troy stared silently ahead. You repeatedly characterized Mrs. Long as professionally irrelevant, despite substantial evidence to the contrary. The judge paused, then delivered the sentence Erica would remember for the rest of her life. Unpaid labor is still labor. The words echoed through the courtroom. Simple, precise, devastating. Erica closed her eyes briefly, because somewhere deep inside her, the woman who spent years questioning her own value finally exhaled. Judge Cole continued, Marriage is not a mechanism through which one partner absorbs the identity, labor, and sacrifice of another without acknowledgement. No one moved. No one even seemed to breathe. The judge signed the final paperwork calmly. This matter is concluded. Just like that. 16 years reduced to stamped documents and legal language. But somehow, Erica didn't feel empty. She felt free. Outside the courtroom, reporters waited near the courthouse entrance, hoping for statements about the corporate scandal surrounding Troy. Rachel immediately guided Erica toward a quieter hallway exit. "You okay?" she asked softly. Erica laughed weakly through tears. "I honestly don't know yet." Rachel smiled faintly. "That's normal too." For a moment, they stood together silently. Then Rachel squeezed Erica's shoulder once. "You did something important in there?" Erica frowned, slightly. "I survived." "No," Rachel replied. "You documented reality before someone else rewrote it permanently." God, that hit hard, because that's exactly what Troy had been trying to do. Rewrite her into nothing. Rachel left shortly afterward to handle final paperwork. Erica stood alone near the courthouse corridor windows, watching rain streak down the glass. Her phone buzzed repeatedly with messages. Claire Matthews, Malcolm Pierce, even old acquaintances reaching out after hearing about the ruling. But Erica ignored them all for a moment, because suddenly, she was exhausted. Not physically, spiritually. Then footsteps approached behind her. She knew who it was before turning around. Troy. He stopped several feet away. No lawyers, no audience, no performance left. For the first time in months, he looked at her without anger, and somehow that hurt more. "I never thought it would end like this," he said quietly. Erica stared at him silently. Rain tapped softly against courthouse windows behind them. Troy looked older now, the kind of older stress carved quickly into powerful men once admiration disappeared. "I did love you," he whispered. Erica swallowed slowly, because maybe part of him believed that. But love without respect became consumption eventually. "You loved what I gave you," she answered softly. The truth landed visibly. Troy looked away briefly, then asked the question she already knew was coming. "Did you ever really love me?" Erica stared at the man she once would have destroyed herself to keep, and realized something tragic. She had. Completely. That was the problem. "Yes," she whispered honestly. Troy's eyes filled immediately with something close to grief. But Erica continued quietly. "And you spent years teaching me that love was supposed to cost me myself." Silence. Absolute silence. Then she stepped past him slowly toward the courthouse exit, toward rain, toward uncertainty, toward a life no longer built around disappearing for someone else. And for the first time in years, Erica Carter walked away without asking anyone to follow her. Boston felt nothing like Greenwich. And Erica loved it immediately. No gated driveways, no marble staircases, no silent rooms pretending wealth could replace warmth. Their new apartment sat on the 4th floor of a renovated brownstone overlooking a quiet street lined with bookstores, cafes, and bare winter trees waiting for spring. It was smaller than the Long Mansion by almost every measurable standard. But somehow, it felt bigger, because for the first time in years, Erica could breathe inside her own life. "Mom, where do you want this box?" Lily stood in the middle of the living room, holding a carton labeled "Kitchen" in black marker. Erica smiled softly from where she sat cross-legged on the hardwood floor surrounded by half-opened boxes. "Anywhere that doesn't collapse on me." Lily laughed. Real laughter, not the careful kind she used during the divorce. The sound alone made the entire move worth it. Sunlight spilled through tall windows while music played quietly from Lily's phone across the room. There were no interior designers directing furniture placement, no pressure to maintain appearances for executive dinners. just two exhausted women rebuilding from scratch. And somehow, that felt sacred. 3 months had passed since the final judgment. 3 months since Erica Long officially became Erica Carter again. The transition still felt strange sometimes. Not because she missed the marriage, because reclaiming yourself after years of emotional erosion felt unfamiliar at first, like learning how to stand correctly after surviving underwater too long. Her consulting role at Blackwell and Pierce evolved faster than anyone expected, especially her. At first, Erica walked into meetings terrified someone would realize she didn't belong there. Then something surprising happened. She started speaking, and people listened. Not politely, seriously. Her strategic instincts remained razor sharp. Her emotional intelligence, once dismissed as supportive wife behavior, turned out to be devastatingly effective in negotiation environments. One afternoon, after a successful client meeting, Malcolm Pierce pulled her aside quietly. "You know what's interesting?" Erica smiled slightly. "What?" "You apologize before almost every brilliant observation." The comment embarrassed her immediately because it was true. Years of shrinking herself had become muscle memory. Malcolm continued calmly. "You spent too long around someone who benefited from your self-doubt." That sentence stayed with her for days, because healing, Erica discovered, wasn't dramatic. It was microscopic. Tiny moments, tiny boundaries, tiny acts of believing herself again, like speaking without apologizing first, like buying clothes because she liked them instead of because they matched Troy's professional image, like sleeping peacefully without wondering who her husband was texting, like laughing without guilt. One snowy evening, Erica sat at the kitchen counter, reviewing strategy notes while Lily worked on homework nearby. The apartment smelled like pasta sauce and candle wax. Normal, warm, safe. Mom. Erica looked up from her laptop. "Yeah?" Lily hesitated, then softly asked, "Do you think people can change?" The question hung carefully in the air. Erica knew exactly who she meant. Troy. He called regularly now, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes emotionally, sometimes sounding like a man waking up too late inside the ruins of his own decisions. Erica chose her words carefully. "I think people can understand things too late." Lily looked down quietly. "He cries sometimes when I visit." God, that hurt. Because despite everything, Troy loved their daughter. And maybe in his own broken way, he had loved Erica too, just not responsibly, not respectfully, not enough to stop consuming her. Erica reached across the counter and squeezed Lily's hand gently. "Your father's going to have to figure out who he is without everyone protecting his ego." Lily nodded slowly, then whispered, "I'm proud of you." The words almost shattered Erica completely, because for years she worried Lily only witnessed her suffering. Now maybe she also witnessed survival. Later that night, after Lily fell asleep, Erica stood alone by the apartment windows, watching snow drift through quiet Boston streets. Her phone buzzed softly on the counter behind her. A text message. "Troy." Erica stared at the screen for several seconds before opening it. "I didn't know what I had until you stopped trying to convince me to value it." The message hit painfully hard. Not because she wanted him back, because once upon a time those words would have healed her. Now they simply made her sad. Sad for the woman who begged years for crumbs of acknowledgement. Sad for the marriage that could have survived if pride hadn't poisoned it. Sad for Troy himself, because people who only recognize love after destroying it usually stay lonely a very long time. Another message appeared. "I'm sorry for making you feel invisible." Erica closed her eyes briefly. There it was, the apology she once would have waited forever to hear. And strangely, it no longer changed anything, because healing had already begun without it. She walked toward the kitchen slowly, looked at the message one final time, then deleted the conversation thread completely. Not angrily, peacefully. Outside, snow continued falling softly across the city. Inside, Erica looked around the apartment she built from nothing after believing she was nothing. Books scattered across the coffee table. Lily's sneakers near the couch. Half-unpacked dishes. Her laptop still open beside strategic consulting notes, carrying her own name now. Erica Carter. Not hidden, not erased, not surviving quietly inside someone else's shadow. Living. Finally living. The next morning, Erica walked Lily to school through cold Boston sunlight. People rushed past, carrying coffee cups and backpacks while traffic hummed through the streets around them. Ordinary life. Beautiful life. Halfway down the block, Lily slipped her hand into Erica's. You know what? What you smile differently now. Erica blinked slightly. How Lily thought for a second. Like you're not scared anymore. The words stopped Erica completely. Because Lily was right. For years, fear shaped every decision she made. Fear of conflict. Fear of abandonment. Fear of not being enough. Fear of losing love. But losing Troy taught her something unexpected. Love that requires you to disappear is not love worth keeping. Erica squeezed Lily's hand gently as they continued walking beneath the pale winter sun. And for the first time in a very long time, the future no longer felt like something to survive. It felt like something waiting for her. Some of the deepest heartbreaks in life don't come from strangers. They come from the people we once trusted enough to build our entire world around. Erica's story is painful because it reflects something many people quietly experience being loved for what they provide while slowly disappearing as a person. For years, Erica believed sacrifice was proof of love. She thought staying quiet made her strong. She thought supporting someone else's dreams meant they would naturally protect hers too. But one of the hardest lessons adulthood teaches is this: love, without respect, eventually becomes emotional erosion. The world often overlooks invisible labor, the late nights, the emotional support, the unpaid sacrifices, the dreams postponed for family, marriage, or survival. But just because something is unseen does not mean it is worthless. A woman who gives everything to hold a family together is not doing nothing. And kindness should never become permission for someone to erase your identity. What saved Erica wasn't revenge alone. It was awakening. The moment she stopped begging to be valued by the person committed to misunderstanding her. The moment she realized self-respect matters more than staying chosen by someone who only appreciates you when you're silent. Sometimes healing begins the second you stop trying to convince people of your worth. And maybe that's the real message of this story. You are allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that survived disrespect just to keep love alive. If this story touched you in any way, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt invisible in a relationship? Have you ever had to rebuild yourself after someone made you question your value? And if you enjoy emotional stories about healing, betrayal, strength, and second chances, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are more powerful stories waiting for you here.